Recognition fuels motivation in ways that most people underestimate. You can give someone all the tools, all the resources, and all the opportunities. But if they don't feel seen, they'll slowly start to fade. It's not because they're lazy or ungrateful. It's because every human being has a deep need to know that what they do matters. When that need goes unmet for too long, the light inside begins to dim. Recognition isn't just about applause or compliments, it's about acknowledgement. It's about saying, I see your effort, I see your commitment, I see how much heart you put into this. Those simple moments of validation can change the entire course of someone's day, their attitude, and sometimes even their life. Think about the last time someone truly noticed your work. Not in passing, not a quick, good job, but when they actually pointed out something specific you did and how it made a difference. You stood a little taller that day, didn't you? You felt proud, capable, and re-energized. That's the invisible power of recognition. It doesn't just make people feel good, it makes them believe again. It renews their sense of purpose and reminds them that their actions are not going unnoticed. The greatest leaders, the best mentors, the most inspiring people in the world all understand this secret. People perform better when they feel appreciated. You see, most people don't quit their jobs or give up on their dreams because of exhaustion. They quit because of discouragement. They quit because they no longer see the link between their effort and their impact. But recognition builds that bridge back. It tells someone, yes, what you're doing is making a difference. Keep going. It's a signal that their contribution has meaning. When a person feels valued, they become unstoppable. They start pushing harder, thinking deeper, and caring more. Recognition breathes life into ambition. It transforms ordinary effort into extraordinary dedication. But here's the truth: recognition doesn't require grand gestures. It's often found in the smallest moments. A sincere thank you, a note of appreciation, a few words that highlight effort rather than just results. These things carry more power than you can imagine. The right words spoken at the right time can save a person from giving up. They can remind someone why they started. They can reignite a fire that was almost out. Recognition is not just a business skill, it's a human skill. It's what connects people at their core, beyond titles, roles, or achievements. In life, we often assume people already know they're valued, but assumption is the enemy of appreciation. You must say it, show it, and mean it. The absence of recognition creates doubt, and doubt weakens motivation. But the presence of genuine recognition creates belief, and belief fuels progress. It's a cycle that multiplies itself. Recognize someone today and watch how they, in turn, lift others tomorrow. Recognition spreads energy like a ripple in water. It touches everything around it. And perhaps the most beautiful part of recognition is that it costs nothing but gives everything. It takes only seconds to express, but its effects can last for years. A few words of acknowledgement can inspire someone to keep chasing their dreams, to overcome their struggles, to believe in themselves again. That's why the most effective motivators don't just teach, they see. They look beyond performance and into the person. They understand that recognition is not flattery, it's fuel. It's not manipulation, it's inspiration. So never underestimate the power of simply recognizing someone's effort. Whether it's a colleague, a friend, a family member, or even yourself, your words of appreciation can become the spark that keeps their passion alive. Motivation doesn't fade because the goal gets too far. It fades because people stop feeling seen. Light someone up today with recognition, and you might just help them light up the world tomorrow. Value creates connection in a way that nothing else can. When people feel genuinely valued, something inside them changes. They move differently, they think differently, and they give differently. You can ask someone to do a task, and they might do it out of duty. But when a person feels appreciated and respected, they'll go the extra mile, not because they have to, but because they want to. Feeling valued transforms work into purpose and obligation into pride. It's the invisible thread that binds hearts to missions, teams to leaders, and people to people. At the core of every relationship, whether personal, professional, or social, is the question, do I matter here? When the answer is yes, motivation flows naturally. When the answer is no, energy starts to die. We are wired for connection, and value is the bridge that creates it. To feel valued is to feel seen, heard, and understood. It tells a person that their voice counts, their effort counts, and their presence counts. And when that happens, they don't just give you their time, they give you their heart. Think about it, no one ever forgets the person who made them feel important. We may forget words, events, even achievements, but we always remember how someone made us feel. The greatest leaders in history understood that people are not machines driven by instructions. They are human beings driven by emotion. You can push people with pressure for a while, but you can only lead them with value for a lifetime. When people know they're valued, they begin to see themselves as part of something larger. They take ownership. They begin to care not just about what they do, but about why they do it. Creating a culture of value doesn't require money or position. It requires attention. It's about listening when someone speaks, noticing effort when it's made, and expressing gratitude when it's due. It's about giving credit where it belongs and making sure no contribution goes unseen. When you recognize value in others, you invite them to rise higher. You tell them you are capable of more than you think. That belief becomes contagious. When one person feels valued, they begin to value others. It creates a ripple effect of positivity and trust. But there's a crucial distinction: valuing people is not the same as using them. Some pretend to value others just to get more out of them. But that's manipulation, not leadership. True value is unconditional. It's given freely, sincerely, and without hidden motives. It doesn't say, "I value you because of what you do for me." It says, "I value you because of who you are." When people sense that kind of authenticity, they open up. They give their best ideas, their creativity, and their loyalty. In families, in workplaces, in friendships, everything flourishes where value is present, and everything withers where it's missing. The feeling of being undervalued can drain even the most talented person. It makes them question their worth, their direction, their purpose. But one genuine word of appreciation can restore confidence and motivation faster than any reward system ever could. When people feel valued, they no longer seek validation. They start creating it for themselves. They stop competing for attention and start contributing with passion. Value creates connection because it builds emotional safety. It tells people, "You belong here." And belonging is one of the most powerful forms of motivation known to man. People will endure pressure, take risks, and give their best effort for a place where they feel respected and appreciated. The truth is simple: when people feel valued, they rise to the value placed upon them. If you treat them as ordinary, they'll give ordinary effort. But if you treat them as extraordinary, they'll strive to live up to that belief. So take a moment every day to make someone feel valued. Look them in the eye and acknowledge their worth. Express gratitude sincerely and often. You'll be amazed at how deeply it transforms relationships and performance. Because at the end of the day, people don't remember what you demanded from them. They remember how you made them feel. And when they feel valued, they'll not only stay connected to you, they'll give you their very best, not from obligation, but from inspiration. The mirror of belief is one of the most powerful gifts you can give another person. When someone believes in you, it changes the way you see yourself. It lights a spark that might have gone dim, and it gives strength where doubt once lived. Many people walk through life never fully realizing how capable they are, not because they lack talent or opportunity, but because no one ever looked them in the eye and said, "I believe in you." That one sentence can become the turning point in someone's story. It has the power to awaken potential, to restore confidence, and to redirect an entire destiny. Belief acts like a mirror, because when you see belief in someone else's eyes, you begin to see it in your own reflection. Human beings grow into the expectations placed upon them. When you expect greatness from someone, you give them permission to rise to it. When you show belief in their ability, you remind them that they already have what it takes. The truth is, people often need someone to hold a vision of them that is bigger than the one they currently hold for themselves. Sometimes that borrowed belief becomes the foundation of their confidence until they can build their own. Think back to a time in your life when someone believed in you more than you believed in yourself. Maybe it was a teacher, a friend, a parent, or a mentor. Their belief gave you courage to take a risk, to try harder, or to keep going when you wanted to quit. That's what belief does. It fuels persistence. It reminds you that even if you stumble, someone still sees potential in you. That kind of faith can carry a person through fear, uncertainty, and failure. Because when someone else believes, it's easier to borrow their confidence until you rediscover your own. The mirror of belief also works in reverse. When you believe in others, you don't just lift them, you lift yourself. You develop the eyes of a leader, the heart of a mentor, and the mindset of growth. You start to see potential everywhere. You look at people not for who they are now, but for who they could become with the right encouragement. That kind of vision creates an environment where people thrive. It builds trust, strengthens bonds, and transforms teams, families, and communities. But belief is not blind optimism. It's awareness with faith. It's saying, I see your flaws, but I also see your potential. I see where you are, but I know where you can go. Real belief doesn't ignore imperfection. It believes despite it. It's easy to support someone when they're winning. The true test of belief is whether you can still see their worth when they're struggling. The people who make the greatest impact are those who can stand beside someone in their lowest moment and still speak life into them. Belief creates accountability. When someone believes in you, you don't want to let them down. You start showing up differently, not because you're afraid of failure, but because you want to live up to the vision they hold of you. And over time, that accountability transforms into self-belief. You no longer rely on external validation. You start carrying that belief within yourself. You become your own mirror. In a world where criticism is loud and encouragement is rare, the ability to believe in others is a gift beyond measure. Your words of belief can become the seed of someone's success. You may never know the full impact of telling someone, you can do this. But they will remember it for the rest of their lives. Sometimes belief is the only thing standing between someone and their potential. So hold that mirror high. Reflect back to people the greatness they've forgotten. Let them see what's possible through your eyes until they can see it clearly through their own. That's how belief changes lives, one reflection at a time. The law of reciprocity is one of the simplest yet most profound truths about human nature. What you give will find its way back to you. When you offer recognition, appreciation, and value to others sincerely, that same energy begins to return in ways you can't always predict. The world has a way of reflecting what you send out. If you give kindness, you attract kindness. If you give encouragement, you inspire encouragement. It's like sowing seeds. The more you plant, the more you harvest. Life responds to generosity with abundance. And that's as true for motivation as it is for success. When you recognize others for their efforts, something powerful happens. Not only do they feel uplifted, but you start to feel elevated too. It's almost impossible to make someone feel appreciated without feeling that warmth yourself. It builds connection, trust, and positive energy that cycles back naturally. Some people think they'll lose something by praising others, as if appreciation diminishes their own value. But the opposite is true. When you lift others, you rise with them. The act of valuing people expands your influence and your emotional wealth. Every word of acknowledgement you give plants a seed in someone's heart, and those seeds grow into loyalty, respect, and goodwill. One day, when you least expect it, those same people, or others inspired by them, will lift you in return. That's how reciprocity works. You may not always see the immediate return, but it's coming. The world is far more interconnected than we realize. What you give to one person often finds its way back through another. Appreciation creates invisible bridges that make life richer, more meaningful, and more cooperative. But there's an important key: the giving must be genuine. Forced praise or empty flattery doesn't plant good seeds, it plants weeds. People can always sense the difference between sincerity and manipulation. When you recognize someone only to get something in return, it loses power. True recognition expects nothing back. It comes from the heart, from a place of gratitude, not strategy. Ironically, that's what makes it so effective. When people feel your authenticity, they want to reciprocate naturally. They begin to show you the same respect and encouragement you offered them, not because they have to, but because they want to. This law also works on a deeper emotional level. When you make a habit of recognizing others, you begin to see the good more often. Your perspective shifts. You stop focusing on what's missing and start noticing what's working. That alone can transform your mindset. A grateful heart sees opportunity where others see problems. By choosing to value others, you train your mind to appreciate the best in life. and life responds by showing you more of it. Gratitude and recognition don't just make others better, they make you better. Even in leadership, this principle holds true. A leader who recognizes effort creates a team that gives more effort. A mentor who encourages growth creates followers who grow beyond expectation. And a friend who gives support receives it in return when the time comes. Reciprocity is not a transaction, it's a flow of energy, an exchange of respect, and a cycle of inspiration. The more you contribute to it, the stronger it becomes. So when you have the chance to praise, to thank, or to acknowledge someone, do it. Don't hold back your words, thinking they'll lose value. Recognition doesn't run out, it multiplies. Every act of appreciation adds something good to the world and to you. And as you keep giving, you'll notice life giving back, sometimes in subtle ways, sometimes in miraculous ones. The law of reciprocity is the quiet promise that your kindness will never go unnoticed, your gratitude will never go unrewarded, and your recognition will always circle back to you when you need it most. Authenticity over flattery is one of the greatest principles to live by if you want to build real influence and lasting relationships. People can feel the difference between genuine recognition and empty words. Flattery may sound sweet, but it fades quickly because it lacks truth. Authentic recognition, on the other hand, endures because it's rooted in sincerity. When you recognize someone genuinely, you connect with them on a human level, not just a surface one. You tell them, "I see you, I value your effort, and I mean what I say." That kind of honesty carries power, because truth always resonates deeper than polish. The world today is filled with noise, compliments, likes, applause, but so much of it is hollow. People are hungry not for attention, but for authenticity. They want to feel that what's being said about them is real. True recognition doesn't exaggerate or manipulate, it simply acknowledges what's true and meaningful. You don't have to make something sound grand to make it powerful. Sometimes the most honest words, "I noticed how consistent you've been," or "your effort really made a difference today," can mean more than 1,000 empty praises. Real recognition focuses on effort, not just outcomes. It highlights the process, the struggle, and the dedication that lead to results. Flattery tries to impress, authenticity tries to connect. The difference is motive. Flattery says what people want to hear to gain something in return: approval, influence, or favor. Authenticity says what people need to hear to grow, to feel valued, and to move forward. And here's the thing, people always know the difference. Even if they don't say it, they feel it. Words that come from truth touch the heart. Words that come from manipulation only reach the surface. One builds trust, the other builds walls. When you give authentic recognition, you build credibility. People learn that your words can be trusted, that your praise carries weight. And when your praise carries weight, your influence multiplies. Because now, when you say, "Well done," it means something. When you offer advice or correction, people listen because they know it comes from someone who speaks truthfully, not conveniently. Authentic recognition strengthens bonds and fosters growth. It becomes a mirror of integrity that reflects your character as much as it uplifts others. There's another beautiful thing about authenticity. It doesn't just validate people, it empowers them. When someone knows you're being honest, they believe your words. If you tell them they've done well, they truly feel proud. If you challenge them to do better, they take it seriously, not defensively. Authentic recognition creates emotional safety. It lets people know you care enough to be honest, even when honesty requires courage. In a world where everyone wants to look good, being real is a rare and valuable form of leadership. Flattery can open doors, but only authenticity keeps them open. Flattery creates short-term comfort, authenticity creates long-term trust. And the truth is, trust is the foundation of all great relationships, personal, professional, and even spiritual. When people trust that your recognition is real, they'll give you their best. They'll show up with sincerity because they know they're seen for who they truly are, not who someone pretends to see. To live with authenticity means to value people not for what they can do for you, but for who they are and what they're trying to become. It means offering recognition that builds confidence, not ego. It's being willing to say, "I appreciate your effort," even when the results aren't perfect. Because authenticity isn't about perfection, it's about presence, awareness, and truth. So choose authenticity every time. Don't flatter to impress, recognize to inspire. Speak from truth, not convenience. When your words come from a place of sincerity, they will always carry power. People may forget what you said, but they will never forget how real you were when you said it. And in that honesty, you give them something greater than praise. You give them trust, belief, and the strength to keep growing. Self-recognition is one of the most overlooked yet essential forms of motivation. While it's easy to appreciate others, many people forget to appreciate themselves. They move from one task to another, one goal to the next, constantly chasing progress but rarely pausing to acknowledge how far they've come. And over time, that lack of self-recognition drains the spirit, because when you don't see your own growth, you start believing you haven't grown at all. You start feeling behind, inadequate, or stuck, not because you haven't achieved, but because you haven't acknowledged your achievements. Recognizing yourself isn't arrogance, it's self-respect. It's understanding that before anyone else validates your effort, you must learn to validate it yourself. Every person needs moments of reflection, moments to stop and say, I did that, I handled that, I kept going when it was hard. These moments of honest acknowledgement build inner confidence and fuel the drive to keep improving. You don't need applause to know your worth, you just need awareness. Awareness of your resilience, your progress, and your effort. True motivation doesn't come from external praise, it comes from the quiet conviction inside you that says, I'm becoming better every day. When you learn to recognize yourself, you stop depending on others to do it for you. You stop waiting for permission to feel proud. You start realizing that your effort has meaning, even when no one else notices it. Self-recognition isn't about ignoring flaws or pretending everything is perfect. It's about giving credit where credit is due to yourself. It's about saying, I may not be where I want to be yet, but I'm not where I used to be. That shift in perspective changes everything. Because growth is not always loud or dramatic. Sometimes it's silent, hidden in the way you stay calm in situations that used to upset you, or the way you keep showing up even when motivation fades. Recognizing those small victories builds the emotional strength needed to tackle the bigger challenges ahead. The truth is, no one is with you 24 hours a day to witness the battles you fight internally, the doubts you silence, the fears you face, the discipline you maintain. Only you know the full story of your effort. That's why self-recognition matters. Because if you don't acknowledge your journey, who will? You can't rely solely on others to see your value. Sometimes they're too busy fighting their own battles. That's why you must become your own source of encouragement. The words you tell yourself carry more power than any praise from the outside world. When you practice self-recognition, you also cultivate self-trust. You begin to believe in your ability to overcome, to adapt, and to grow. You no longer need validation to keep going. You do it because you know your worth. And that kind of inner belief creates unshakable confidence. It allows you to walk into challenges with certainty, not arrogance. It gives you peace during setbacks and patience during growth, because you know that every step, no matter how small, is progress. There's a quiet power in celebrating yourself. Not loudly, not boastfully, but intentionally. Take time to reflect on what you've accomplished this week, this month, this year. Write it down. Feel gratitude for how far you've come. It's not self-centered, it's self-aware. The more you appreciate your own journey, the more capable you become of appreciating others. You can't pour confidence into others if your own cup is empty. Self-recognition fills that cup. So don't wait for someone else to tell you you're doing great. Tell yourself. Look in the mirror and recognize the person who's still standing, still growing, still trying. That's strength. That's courage. That's progress. When you learn to value your own effort, you stop chasing approval and start walking in purpose. Because the moment you recognize yourself, you remind the world how valuable you truly are.